Welcome back to Market Call Recap, your daily show where we go over the charts of BNN Bloomberg's top picks every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you like that type of thing, if you like looking at charts or looking at people looking at charts, be sure to subscribe and give me a like, give me a comment. It'd be really helpful for the channel. I'd really appreciate it. What are we looking at today? S&P 500 flat on the day, quite flat on the day, actually. It's been going kind of nowhere all week. So, yeah, there's that. NASDAQ up 0.18%, not too much there, but we're, we're coming back from that little dip there that happened over the past few days. So, but NASDAQ still looking strong. Dow Jones also relatively flat on the day as well. So, and our good old TSX is up. So we're climbing back up to those, that 50-day moving average there. So, TSX coming back from a, relatively weak month, really. So that's looking good there. So Lauren Steinberg, I like it when Lauren's on. He has often some interesting picks. He's very much a deep value type of investor. So it kind of lines up with my philosophy as well. First pick was Disney, the House of Mouse. So this thing, right off the bat, you can see this giant gap, right? That was filled, completely filled. It's kind of textbook here. Pretty interesting to see. But he sees it as absolutely compelling value. And the streaming is finally breaking even. Parks are booming. So he's bullish on the stock. I don't really have a feeling about the stock. I like to think it's going to do well, but I just don't know. This is ugly. I don't know. I don't know. You could make a value argument, I guess, but in my eyes, I don't see it. It's hard to say, but this is an ugly looking chart. But, over the long term, you've done really well as a Disney investor, if you go, far out. But there's been some volatility here and there as well. And now they're, struggling with succession planning. There's no sort of, successor other than Bob Iger. So I don't know what's going to happen with Disney. But, if we're looking at the technicals, you see probably a bottom there at 80. That was back in the COVID lows as well. So I would see, 80 as a good bottom. So if you wanted to sell puts on this thing, if you want to own it for the long term, 80 puts, probably not going to pay you very much right now. But, if it were to continue down, and retest this level here, you could probably look at selling some puts there. You'd probably have some decent amount of support as well. And, 120 is kind of your trading range here, between 80 and 120. So that's what I see on the chart. Really, I don't really see anything compelling, bringing it back up to 200. Their movie business is kind of moot, in my opinion. Star Wars, Avengers, the Marvel characters, everything's kind of getting stale. And I don't know what's going to be the kind of the turnaround here, but that's just talking, fundamentally and, anecdotally, I guess you could say. But yeah, so probably going to be stuck in this range for some time, I would think. And we're back into that same range as we were for, many, many years now, going back to like 2015. You've been stuck between here with some, big moves, during, this is COVID. So you can't really, all this exuberance that happened right in 2020, 2021. I don't see that coming back anytime soon. So, if you want to trade this thing, you're probably good. Start selling some calls in your position at 120, I'd say maybe. And then, you could sell some puts around the 80 level here. Even 90 may prove to give support. These are kind of outlying moves here, but I don't know, kind of maybe a head and shoulders pattern forming here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing, came back down to the 80 level. We'll see. None of us can predict the future. As I always say, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a broker. I'm not a CMT. So, I'm just a guy looking at charts on YouTube. So, What do we have next? Old tech, Cisco Systems. He's bullish on all these old companies that he likes. The third one's interesting as well. But looking at Cisco, they apparently made acquisition of Splunk, which is in the security AI space. So that's probably a good thing for this type of company, which is considered old tech. I mean, their software and services, according to Lauren, has grown to about half of their business. So that's good because software is especially AI and security software is definitely needed these days. So he sees it as cheap tech, and take with it what you will. But what are we seeing on the charts? I mean, this is not the nicest chart to look at, but yeah, let's see if we could see some levels here. I mean, from 2020, you could draw the 2020 lows. You kind of have an uptrend right here going from 2020. We could draw it, grab those, connect the bottoms here, and you have, kind of an uptrend over the past few years that's forming. But on the shorter term, you have, if you look at just the 1 year here, we're on a pretty serious downtrend right now. So if I grab, oops, I'll just grab another line here, but this is not good, really. I mean, it is what it is, right? But in my humble opinion, technicals aren't really saying much here. Whoop. Oh my God, I am all over the place with my lines. Sorry about that. Let's just clone this one. Bring them down here. It's tough with something like this. You have this, this gap was filled and then it was kind of brought right back down. We always talk about filling gaps. We filled that gap, but then we continued on the downside. So you never know, right? What's going to happen. If, we look at this long-term uptrend here, we're gaining on it. So now we're testing this upper level. You could fix it up a little bit here. Kind of connect it a little back up. You could argue that we've gotten over that upper end of the of this downward trend here. So keep an eye on it. We've kind of bounced off of it a little bit. If we see some strength, I mean, there's some buying volume definitely coming in here. It's not particularly overbought yet. We're still around 57 on the RSI. So if this thing stays decidedly above for a few days and it continues gradually going up and maybe meeting this moving average up here, the 200-day, maybe it'll be a good signal that things are going to continue on the continue to the upside. But we'll see. I mean, these things, they're tradable for sure. You could probably try and trade this thing, anywhere around 45 to 50 could be a good trade in there if there's more of a dip. If it bounces off this moving average as well, it's just kind of hugging the 50-day now. So it's hard to get any type of directionality into out of this thing. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard to say, but we've kind of just been flat for quite some time with this stock. So yeah, last but not least, Yamaha. I love the meme where they talk about do you need a piano? Yeah, I do. Well, do you need a motorboat? You're in luck. We got those too. Or a motorboat motor. So yeah, Yamaha. I mean, they sell everything, right? One thing that I noticed on the chart is that there is a gigantic, half a cup and handle kind of starting right now. So there's a reversal that's in play. It looks like we're probably going to, we might hit some resistance around that 4,000 level. Of course, this is in dollar yen, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this guy. But if you look back, we were back to this 2020 level. We're knocking on the door. So if I do say so myself, it should, try and get above that level. It's going to struggle to get above that level, it seems. And what is that level? That's, call it 3,800-ish. We'll see. I mean, this is an ugly looking chart, but it's a company that's in a lot of different areas, right? So who's to know what's going to happen here? But it dipped below, it dipped below 3,200 there. It's coming back up to this area here, which should provide a certain resistance. And if it gets above that, I'm going to call it 4,000 because we like round numbers, right? So call it 4,000. You get above 4,000, you're probably going to be in probably up until the 4,700 mark, so, or call it 5,000, for the next, for your next target. But yeah, it's a hard one. I don't know much about, the fundamentals of the business, but looking at the chart, it's ugly, but it looks like it's reversing here. So who knows what's going to happen next. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, I will see you tomorrow for the Friday edition of Market Call Recap. Thanks so much, everyone.